Hello, everybody. Welcome to the You Are Worthy Network. Hope everybody had a tremendous weekend and got to do all the things that you wanted to do or got all the things done that you needed to get done, which was my case. Talking to Jamie, it sounds like that was her case earlier too. She had to get a
Yes.
lot done this weekend. And depending on where you're watching, you might have woken up this morning to a hard frost. Certainly here in West Tennessee, we were below 30 degrees. Did not see that coming before a day or two ago. But you know what? It's that time of year where the weather gets unpredictable and anything can happen. But so glad you guys are with us. And it's been a few days since we've had a guest with us. So I'm excited to introduce you to Jamie here in just a second. But first, I'm also excited to tell you that no matter what kind of weekend you had, good, not so good, meh, that you're still worthy of love, respect, and success. I'm glad I get to tell you that because it's true. So please be encouraged by that today. So moving on, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jamie. You guys that watch a lot, you know how we do this. I read the bio verbatim, and then we jump right in. Jamie Hansen is a therapist by training, helping organizations with their people pieces to transform their culture. She is the founder of Alloy Solutions, a team of workplace relationship experts that melds your people's industry expertise with proven human behavior and relationship success strategies to optimize your organization's performance. Jamie is passionate about sharing sound leadership success strategies to engage teams and add value to the organizations she serves. Jamie has over 25 years of experience in employee assistance and professional counseling and is a best-selling author and a sought-after speaker, coach, and facilitator for business and community groups across the country. Jamie is a licensed professional counselor with a BA in psychology from the University of Nebraska at Lincoln and an MS in counseling from the University of Nebraska at Omaha. When she is not speaking or teaching, Jamie loves to golf and to take photos of sunrises and her Labrador retrievers from her lakeside home. So awesome. I can't wait to get into the questions here in just a little bit. But Jamie, welcome to the You Are Worthy Network.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here. I love what you're doing. So thank you for letting me walk with you today.
Oh, absolutely. So, it like we were talking a little bit before we went live and how cold it is and that we were able to get things done this weekend. But tell our viewers, so it said in the bio that you love to golf and you have a
Mhm.
lakeside home. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you close to Omaha and what do you like to do for fun?
I am just outside of Omaha in eastern Nebraska. It was 19 degrees when
Oh,
I got up this morning, and all kinds of vapor was coming up off the lake. So we like to see those as the degrees just leaving the water. Of course, the boats are out, all of that. So we're getting ready for winter here. However, the forecast, we've got some days later on this week where it's going to be 70 degrees. To still get out and swing some clubs yet this week. So I do enjoy traveling. I love what I get to do. I get to travel for work and I get to meet really cool people that are wanting to make a difference with the people that they work with and that are under their care. So yeah, I boring is not a word that really lives in my vocabulary. So yeah, just pretty thankful for what we and when I say we, me and the team get to do.
I love it. I'm going to tell you a golf story in just a
Yeah.
second, but I want to hear about your kids and your grandkids too. I
Okay.
know you hold those close to your heart.
I do. I'm a mother of two amazing sons, Ryan and Lincoln, and they have rock star wives, Haley and Mandy. And they also are parents. So we have amongst them, we have two 4 year olds, a 2 year old, and one who just turned one a week ago
Mm.
tomorrow. So a lot of energy. All of my kids are involved with Maxwell Leadership. They've all been through that. So love that the littles are being raised with those kind of values when it comes to valuing people and how we approach life. And yeah, they're just a lot of fun too. I had my kids young, and I remember people saying, "Oh, it's going to speed up. Life's just going to come at you so fast. And what are you going to do when your kids are gone?" And every chapter has been more fun than the last. So just really count me thankful. One set of my oldest and his wife could potentially be moving here shortly as well. So we'll have everybody within, say, 15 minutes, which will be an incredible blessing.
Oh my gosh, what a blessing that would be. Wow.
Yes. Hmm.
That's so cool. Um, yeah, so my golf story is like I'm trying to decide at 56 if I really don't like golf or if my experiences, which haven't been great, have shaped that perception. And I'll
Oh.
share a brief story. I had a boss once. He was training me to take his job at some point. I was young, like, late 20s. And he said, Steve, you need to take your clients out to play golf. You need to take them, but pay for it. Just spend the afternoon with them, have a great time. Tennessee weather's beautiful. I think it
Oh.
was like September he was telling me this. And I was like, so I was listening to him patiently. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Of course, he didn't know why it wasn't going to happen. And I said, boss, I think I understand your perspective. I understand why you would say these things, but let me tell you where your premise is off. And he's looking at me like, okay, hot shot. What do you got to say that I don't know? Because he's like, he's been in the industry for years. He's 60. He's been very successful. This is the way he's done it. I was like,
Hmm.
well, and this is long before I was a Christian, I might add. He said, or I said, when we're walking down the fairway and they're hitting the ball as straight as could be, and they're walking down to get it, and I'm in the woods saying things I shouldn't be saying, and we're 300 yards apart, there's not a lot of productive dialogue going on at that point. And he kind of looked at me and he goes, well, you need to work on that. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I admire people that enjoy it and have the discipline to practice it because you can't just go out there and wing it. You definitely have to practice it.
You do, you do. I hope you'll keep swinging, pun intended, as far as that goes. I think it shows us a lot. I think actually there are a lot of leadership metaphors between golf or with golf, if you will. Yeah, I love a scramble, by the way, a good four-person scramble when you're just playing best ball. I love that. I think that's a ton of fun. And my organization actually, we host my oldest son, who's my business manager, trademarked this name, but we host an event called Leadership, where we bring in people, we do some leadership training, and then we go out and we do an 18-hole scramble. And we have had people there that have never swung a club before. So that scramble format does kind of bring the temperature down, bring the pressure down. You want to do it for fun.
But
So
for us
yeah,
competitive people that always want to be holding, carrying our own weight.
that's challenging. Yeah.
But
Yes,
but I
that's
love I
challenging.
love the creativity. And I love that your son named that event. Would you say something with chip in it?
Yep, it's leader chip, leader hyphen
Chip.
chip. Yes.
I love that. That's very, very creative. I like it. So Jamie, how so you go to school for psychology, you get a
Hmm.
master's in it. Tell us about those early days of being a therapist.
Yeah. Those were, well, can I tell you what got me into therapy in the first place? Can I tell you what got
Absolutely.
me there? I had graduated with my bachelor's in psychology, and we moved out to Western Nebraska, small town. And eventually I was working as the executive director of a domestic violence shelter, and had a 5 county area that we served, was blessed to be able to help mostly, I think all of our clients were women. It is mostly women that you serve, but not that it only goes that way. But anyway, um, we were not allowed to advise these women. We could go in the middle of the night and pull them out of a home, but we weren't allowed to advise them because we didn't have counseling degrees. And one day it was just kind of, and I've made some decisions based on things like this in my life where I'm inspired, I'm finally just going to go do it. But we weren't allowed to give advice. We had to refer them to a counselor that we had. And she just didn't love the women, at least the way I thought she should love the women. Okay, according to my, if I'm king of the world, right? And so I just decided that's it. I'm going to go get this piece of paper and we're going to go do this so we can, serve people in a different way. So that's what kind of kicked my tail into
Mm.
graduate school. And so we moved to Eastern Nebraska and started school to got to do that. So it was tremendous blessing. Very thankful to have done this. I always knew I'd be helping people in some respect. Um, but yeah, it's just been a very curvy path to get here. But my early days of being a counselor, I was actually working in an agency. I was in private practice at that time that we had a large employee assistance component too. So we had contracts with organizations to help their employees kind of get some solutions going and just help them deal with life. And those days were very busy and very overwhelming. One nice thing about employee assistance is you will see all kinds of problems. You will get to help people in all kinds of different circumstances. So for me, as what I like to say as a baby counselor, when I was a baby counselor, not counseling babies, but a brand new baby counselor, I really got to spend a lot of time helping people in a lot of different situations. So that was good exposure for me.
Okay. So help me understand the timing. Which came first? Did joining Maxwell and learning about speaking, coaching, and training lead to a transition away from your practice, or had that already happened by the time you discovered Maxwell?
Oh, that's a great question. I was still running a large practice by this time. So I went to Maxwell for the first time in 2013. And at that point, I was running a very large counseling practice in our city with my two partners. And we had been doing that since 2002. So large counseling practice. We had everyone in that practice from interns and on up to psychologists and psychiatrists. So, and then we had a great administrative staff. I say past tense because I'm no longer, I sold out my part of the business to my partners, but that's still where I refer to. That practice is still alive and well. Loved my time there. But at that time that I went to Maxwell, God had laid it on my heart that I would be doing more speaking and training. And I was doing therapy, I had a caseload. I loved doing therapy. Also running the practice with my partners, with the three of us. And so caseload, practice or running the practice. And then also I was kind of doing this consulting and speaking and training piece. So that was like riding three horses at the same time. Something was going to give, something needed to give, or is going to be me. And so at that point, about 2 years after I went to Maxwell, my youngest, who had played college football, had graduated. He was making a run at the NFL, and he decided he wanted to hang up the cleats. It was not a great year for recruiting linemen that summer. And his agent asked him not to quit. Don't give up. He didn't get drafted, made it as far as the Detroit Lions rookie camp, had a great experience, but wanted to get engaged, wanted to move on with life. He was just ready. His name is Lincoln. And I said, no regrets, Lincoln. And he said, no regrets, Mom. And besides, I have a business and a psychology degree, and you need help. And yes, I did. So
Mm.
at that point, I sold my part of the practice to my partners. And we went on to start Alloy Solutions, which is basically melding good psychological principles with your company's, your industry's expertise. So bring those two things together to help your people align more, be more efficient, have better relationships. So he was the one then that did the crowdsourcing, the logo, setting all of the legal stuff up with the Secretary of State, getting the website set up, all of those things. So loved his young energy and his heart and his enthusiasm. So I could kind of keep doing what was paying the bills while he got all of this new business set up. So count me so thankful.
Now, what a blessing to have him, his heart to want to do that with you, and not just, I
Mhm.
mean, his heart, that's huge, right? But then he has the skill set too to actually be productive in it.
Yes. Yes.
And I love the name too, alloy. And how did you describe it? Melding, molding.
Mm-hmm.
Say that again for
Melding.
us.
So yeah. So the definition of an alloy, which again, I am a soft sciences person. I don't have a lot of science in my background when it comes to chemistry and things like that. But an alloy is like steel, where you bring together two different elements. You apply some form of heat and light to end up with something that is more flexible, stronger, functions better. So that's what we're doing, is we're bringing your industry expertise in your field, whatever that is. And ironically, we do work with a lot of heavy manufacturing. We do work with a lot of industrial, so it's kind of funny that that's a lot of the our customers. But anyway, it's bringing those two things together, your industry expertise along with our psychological skills and knowledge and leadership, and then helping you do you better.
That's fascinating. So I'm thinking like, how often is that the story that you're very grateful for where you came from, you're grateful for the roots, grateful for the customers that you had in the therapy world, um, but God puts a new message on your heart, and it's to impact more people, it's to serve more people, it's to widen your territory, if you will, the prayer of
Yes,
Jabez, so to
it's the best.
speak.
Mhm.
And it's like that's the case with you. And so I'm interested, like, for the most part, is your clientele statewide? Is it more regional, or is it all around the country?
It's all over the country. So we do have some organizations that are headquartered here in Omaha. So, and then they have, divisions, or they have locations in other parts of the country. So I do have customers all over, as a matter of fact. A great number here, right here in Nebraska as well. And then, of course, COVID taught us a lot about what we can do virtually also. So that's just made life easier in some ways. But yes, I do have customers all over the country.
Okay, so let's say, and I may have the timetable off on this, like I don't know how long clients work with you, but
Mhm.
let's say at the end of a contract working with you and your associates, what would the typical client say were the benefits? What did they gain from that experience with you guys?
Um, they will say their workplace relationships have improved. They're thankful for more alignment within their team. They're more optimistic about what's going forward. I will tell you, I hand out, I'm a dinosaur. I hand out paper pencil evaluations when we're doing things together in person. And I'm a feedback junkie. So I love getting that feedback and how can we improve? How can we make this better? I do hear often, I want this to be, where they'll say, this was the best class I've ever attended, whether that's on conflict management or team building. So really want to make it something like it's the kind of class that I would want to be in, or it's the kind of inspiration and coaching that I would want to receive, and just loving people right where they are. My prayer before absolutely every presentation is, Lord, just let me love them. And you can walk that right into the business. And yeah, and so again, working with heavy industry and older companies, we do work with, sometimes I want to say, cultures that might be a little more gruff or a little more rough and tumble, when you're working with heavy industry. And they present like, why do we got to do these soft skills? But on the inside, we're all human beings, and we all kind of have that soft part. And just speaking to that side and showing people great respect and encouraging them. A lot of people who have been promoted in their industries because they do the job really well, but their employer may or may not have brought along the people skills to go alongside that.
Mhm.
I know when I went to graduate school to become a counselor, ironically, because I couldn't help people the way I wanted to in the domestic violence shelter, we had very little training on domestic violence, right? So it just kind of depends on where you've been and the experience you've had, what your company has been able to expose you to. So we love exposing people to concepts and getting them involved, having them practice skills, whether it's communication or conflict management, in a way that's fun and engaging and actually helps bond people together. So a high compliment for me is, after we've been there, if you feel like your team is closer, if you feel like we're more aligned than we have been, if you feel like if we hit a rock, or if we hit, a tough spot, we're going to get through it together. And that's what we like to work with organizations on.
Sounds
So
like, tell me if I'm wrong. Sounds like there's a need for some icebreakers and some training on healthy communication in there pretty
yes,
pretty early on. Would that be accurate?
that is accurate. Yes, that is accurate.
Okay.
Absolutely. We love doing some things. I say a lot, we do things that are fun. We do a lot of things that are fun, but we do nothing that is meaningless. So we will bring in
Mm,
some things that might kind of feel like they come out of left field, but there's a reason for all of those things, just to kind of help people be more comfortable and have a little bit of it. Nothing embarrassing, nothing scary. I lead like an introvert, or excuse me, like an extrovert, but I'm really an introvert at heart. That's kind of how I grew up. So want to make everyone feel comfortable and included.
Probably one of those deals where everybody's looking at you kind of sideways, like, where is she going with this? But then when you're done, it's like, kind of an aha moment.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, and you find out you've got a therapist in the room, right? And I'm like, oh no, what's this going to be? Yeah, no, no psychoanalysis. We can't read minds. No,
That's funny.
we're gonna engage in some great psychological skills though.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so like I know you love to speak. Um, is primarily your speaking your training for these companies that you're contracted with, or in addition to that, are you doing some public speaking in other arenas?
Yeah, so primarily what I would say about 80% of my time is in training. So where I'm going into organizations, like we will do 8-hour training classes on conflict management or advanced conflict management or resilience, things like that. So a lot of my speaking is in that training lane, if you will. But I also will do keynotes. In fact, I've got one tomorrow, not tomorrow, Wednesday. But we will do keynotes on different things as well. So pillars of one of my things I love to speak on is mental wealth at work. And so
Mhm.
that's one that's been a great keynote topic, is just how can you have that at work, especially in this world where it feels like everything's swirling around.
Oh, that's good. That's so very needed. So give us a little insight. Is that what you're speaking on Wednesday? Is this a totally different keynote?
Wednesday is a women's business luncheon for 55 to 60 women. And we're actually going to be talking about DISC personality styles.
Okay. So for those
Mhm.
watching around the world that don't know what DISC is, why don't you explain what that is?
Absolutely. DISC is based on over 100-year-old research by Dr. Thomas Marsden. And it is the, well, how do I want to say this? It's the most reliable human behavior resource that we have, meaning that it's got an 85 to 90% reliability rate. If that's my car starting 85% of the time, I'm not very happy with that. But if you talk about the dynamics that human beings have within each of us, and we've got an 85 to 90% reliability rate, meaning if I take an assessment like that and I'm looking at 85 to 90% of that going, yeah, that really hit it on the head, that's DISC. And so it basically looks at, are you more outgoing or more reserved? And are you more task or people focused? All of us are a blend of all of those. And it looks at what are our communication preferences, our thinking preferences, what's motivating for us. The one that we use is very positive and strengths based. And it just helps me understand myself better. It helps me understand how to approach others better. So it's one thing, as you can tell, get very excited about sharing that information with audiences. Also, I went through grad school for counseling, and in our assessments class, I want to say we took like 31 to 35 assessments over the course of that course. It was not DISC. I wasn't
Mm.
exposed to DISC until I was working more with businesses. And actually, through Maxwell Leadership, I got exposed to DISC. And wow, this would have been great information to have working with couples and working with students. And yeah, so I think it's absolutely fabulous information. Highly recommend it if it's not something you've been exposed to.
Yeah, that's tremendous. So the $64,000 question is, do you
Mhm.
shoot do you shoot par on the golf course 85% of the time?
No, that's a great
You
question.
already know I don't. So I like
No,
trying to
that
get
is a
to
great.
triple bogey, but
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty happy as a bogey golfer, that I'm pretty happy if I can shoot bogey, that's pretty good. For me, it's about time with my friends outside, getting to be outdoors. Now, I will say this too, I think your former mentor's comment, to have that kind of time, especially like when we do our leadership event, to have that kind of time with another individual, especially as busy as we all are, that truly is a gift. So, and also people see how you handle problems under pressure.
Exactly. Which I'm admitting my immaturity at that stage of life. That's what I was trying to communicate in a much different way to him. But yes, he was wise, no doubt about it. So I want to ask you because I didn't know this about you before I read your bio more thoroughly. So you do have a book out, or do you have multiple books out? Tell us about your being an author and what you enjoy about that.
Hmm. I was invited in 2016 to go in and be a part of an author's, basically we all collaborated and wrote a chapter, a book on DISC. It's called Discovering Your Team's Potential. And all of us contributed a chapter from some different facet, whether it was work life, home life, raising children, and just speaking to how understanding that, understanding differences in personality, understanding how people like to be approached can really help us serve one another better. Also, it can help prevent and even diminish conflicts. So I've mentioned that my oldest is my business manager. Actually, and I included a story. I started my chapter off with a story about him before we were getting ready to go to Maxwell Leadership. Ironically, there's a whole bunch of overlaps here. And my style is more the outgoing, people focused style. His style is more the reserved, task focused style. So he and I are opposites. And then all along our blend, our personalities are complete opposites. So that's good. Anyone that's worked with family before knows that that can be very challenging, just working with family. And I worked for my dad for 5 years in high school and college. And now I've had both of my sons work with me. And he and I, though, are true opposites. And we've talked many times about if we didn't understand what we do about DISC and personality styles, it would make things in our relationship very, very difficult, and also maybe impossible to work together. And so, yes, have we had some hair pulling kind of sessions where we're frustrated with each other and how we see things so differently? Absolutely. But underneath that is respect and understanding. And over the years, I've learned how to approach him with one of my crazy ideas and say, hey, what do you think about this? Noodle on it for a few days and then come back and let's troubleshoot it and pick it apart. And that'll make that the most successful version of that idea that it can be. He's also learned how to respond to things like that and say, yep, I see what you're saying. Let me think about this and get back to you. And so we've really got this symbiosis because we understand that. And so that's what my chapter was about. I've got a couple of other books I'm working on right now based on kind of some of the things we're seeing in our world. But yes, that's the book that I was fortunate enough to be an author on, a part of that team, Discovering Your Team's Potential.
That's
That's
fascinating. Where can folks find that particular book?
It is on Amazon. And
And it,
cleverly, it's on Amazon. Cleverly, it's Discover Your Team's Potential, and those four DISC are all in all caps. In that first word, discover.
Discover your team's potential.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Well, it sounds like you're really at this stage of your life and your career. It sounds like it's just a really beautiful season. You're helping clients. You're passionate about what you do. Your family's all about to be in close proximity to you, which is such a blessing. You guys that are viewing this don't get to see her dog Denver, who is an awesome lab, and anyway, she's got Jamie. You just got a lot going on, and it really seems like a sweet spot of life at this stage. I'm assuming things weren't always so easy. I'm assuming there was seasons or a season in particular that you didn't feel worthy about. Are you able to elaborate on that at all?
Absolutely. I've had, well, more than one challenging season, but two biggies that come to mind. One was certainly I went through a divorce about 5 years ago. And a few years before that, my ex-husband's infidelity had been going on. And it finally all eventually came out in the wash. And having been a marriage counselor, which I still was actively doing at that time, there's that feeling of how could this happen here? and just the shame and the just, oh my good, just all of it just hits you like a wave. I'd also coached a lot of clients through healing from that, whether keeping the marriage going or um separating and divorcing, and kind of helping them heal post that separation. But boy, when it hits home, it's different. We therapists, we have really good training, but the other thing that we have that also makes us effective is that we're objective. Well, it's not objective when it's in your own home. So here we go. So the therapist goes into full on, okay, if this is what has happened, full on save the marriage mode, going to do everything that we can do, want to say the right things, do the right things, protect the boys from this, all of that. And there was a time period where I knew in my heart what was happening, but the deception was still going on. So it was still and I was losing my mind. I was just decompressing. I was unraveling. And finally, when it all came out in the wash, I will tell you, you can prepare yourself for the betrayal. You can prepare yourself for all of that went on. But that time when I felt the most unworthy, the least worthy of love, was the idea that I wasn't worth knowing the truth. And that was the wound that took more to heal from, if that makes sense, than everything else, if you will. Also, I had a fear that, and we know where fear comes from, but I had a fear that, like, how is I going to continue to serve my clients? How is I going to continue to function as a mother and just be a good human being? And God spoke to me so lovingly. Also, he put 4 very wise women around me that I reached out to immediately when going through this. And but God really spoke to me. He's like, Jamie, do you think you've been doing all of this yourself anyway? Do you think you've been serving the clients yourself anyway? Have you been doing all of this on your strength? No, I hadn't been. He'd been blessing and supporting and giving and caring and loving my clients through me all along. So what he reminded me is, you know what? You can serve while you're suffering. Keep yourself out of that therapist room. Make sure that you're getting your support elsewhere, but you can absolutely serve. And I still have a purpose for you, even when your heart is broken. And that actually helped get me through that very dark time. Like I said, had counseled some marriages to help heal from that. Mine wasn't to be one of those. So eventually the wheels did in fact come off. But like I said, it's when you're doing things on God's strength, and believe me, I can get out over my skis really easily and start doing things on my own strength. This firstborn, stubborn, headstrong girl can do that tomorrow. I can do a really good job of being too headstrong, too stubborn. But when you're reminded, and a lot of times when you lose everything that you thought your security was in, except for that, you're reminded that that's really all you need. And so he was so loving and so patient and so gracious with me through that time. And some of my own words came back to me of, giving clients the choice. Like, you have a choice now. You can have one person walking around on this world that you can't stand and you can be bitter, or you can be better. And so, but just relying on him for that strength, because I had none. I was sapped.
Well, first of all, let me say to you, I'm sorry you had to endure that season. Uh, I, I I can only imagine how painful that is. And a couple of things that you said really stood out to me. You said there at the end, you can be bitter or you can be better. That's so true. It's a choice, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
you said something early on uh, that correlates with what I advise a lot of people. When you're going through something really difficult, the worst thing you can do is isolate and be by
Yeah.
yourself. And the fact that you had those 4 women around you is such a blessing, but
Mm-hmm.
also that you served your way through it. Don't quit serving just because you're going
Right.
through a tough time. Serve your way through it. It will help your heart, it will help your perspective. And so I love that even though that was an extremely tough time, we don't want to minimize that, that you had that perspective to surround yourself with a
Hmm.
tribe that loved you, cared for you, encouraged you, and that you served your way through it. I love that. Um, so Jamie, what's next? Is it more of the same, which is fabulous, right? That'd be great.
Hmm.
You did allude to a couple of books, so tell
Hmm.
us a little more. What else is in the works for you?
Um, as you can tell, I'm someone who can get too many spinning plates. So I will probably always be that way. My parents just shake their head at me. But I do have a lot going on, and I kind of love life that way. So yes, two books. One is on redemptive leadership and how to heal relationships. Of course, that comes from my therapy background. I have seen, and with my son coming up through sports, I've seen situations where you have good leaders whose teams are successful, but you're going to have, because you have human beings on your team, they're going to struggle, they're going to fail, they're going to make mistakes. I can't tell you how many parents I counseled over the years that like, we kind of want your kids to fail now. We kind of want them to fail under your wings so that they can learn how to heal and recover. So don't protect your kids from failure. But also as leaders, we need to know how to redeem our team members when they fail, because you can have the best team in the world, but if you have that star player that fails, as we will all go through seasons, we will all have things happen. If you don't know how to redeem that person, unfortunately, it could cost you your team. So,
Well, and that team is all comprised of flawed human beings who all
yes.
have the highs and lows of life.
Hmm.
And if they're on your team any length of time at all, they're going to go through a tough season.
Yes. Yes. Hmm.
So I love that you're addressing some of these things. Um, where can people find you and learn more about who you are and what you're doing? We always put that in the notes, but I always like to hear it from the guest where they can be found.
Thank you for asking that. I'm on Facebook, alloysolutions.com, or excuse me, alloystrong.com is our website. So you can kind of find out what we're up to there as far as our website is concerned. We're on LinkedIn. So that's one thing for me. What's next? Working better excuse me, I'm working at being better at talking more about what we're doing and who we're serving and just sharing some of that. When COVID hit, my oldest and I were actually out in Denver to meet with customers the next day. And we were also kind of vetting some golf courses for a leadership event that we wanted to do out there. And so we were there, got a call from the client that, hey, they're closing the building. You have to, we're not going to be able to do our training tomorrow. So, okay. We flew back to Omaha and we kind of looked at ourselves. We had all these live events that were going to get canceled, and we had this content. And it was my Ryan who said, well, Mom, I think we need to start doing Facebook Lives, and I think we need to share the content that we have to help people. Why just sit on this? Why, let's be a river, not a reservoir. Literally, that's what he said to me. And he and I joke back and forth a lot. Just he's got a great dry sense of humor. I would love to let you hear how he describes our working relationship through the eyes of disc, because it's hilarious. But he said, he's told people, we decided we would do these Facebook Lives. So every day, 5 days a week, we would get on and do like a 3 to 9 minute tip on something on Facebook. We haven't maintained that all of these 5 years, but we've kept it pretty solid for a long time there. But his comment was, yeah, Mom wasn't real thrilled about doing that. I'm a Gen Xer. He's a millennial. But it's amazing what you can learn when you need to. So that's something I need to get better at, is just sharing what we're doing and encouraging people. With this government shutdown, I do have some clients that work for the federal government, and doing some brainstorming on how we can keep them encouraged, even with all of this. So yeah, that's one thing that's always kind of there on my radar, is that that's a place where I definitely need to grow.
Yeah, I actually totally can relate to you in, how many plates you have spinning and you kind of like life that way.
Hmm.
Um, I can't speak for you, obviously. I know for me, I have to be careful with it because I want to make sure that that energy is going towards the best things, which is why we're getting away here in a couple of days, just to take a breather as a family. But I love the work you're doing. I love how you're serving other people. I love how you've integrated your psychology education into the things you've learned about leadership with Maxwell, and that's serving your clients now. And of course, the added invaluable tool of DISC, and how you've incorporated all of that into helping corporations. I love it. I love the fact that you've got books coming. I'm just encouraged by who you are as a person, first of all, and second of all, what you're doing to make a dent in this world. And I'd like for you, Jamie, to leave our viewers with just a thought of encouragement or wisdom before we have to go.
Absolutely. Um, don't ever forget that God has given you a purpose. He created you, and whether you're a firstborn perfectionist like I am or not, He doesn't need you to be perfect. In fact, He can use your broken places as He has mine. He sees you as precious. So that purpose He has given you is a gift, and only you can do it the way you can do it. So don't be afraid to step in and think about things, dream about things, be encouraged by things. Don't be afraid to just be you. So, because God's made you for that reason, and we need you.
I love it. I love it. God gave you a purpose. You don't have to be perfect. We need you. I love all of that message. Jamie, it's been tremendous having you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your leadership, and your vulnerability, which is so needed in this fallen world right now, because none of us down here have it all figured out. We all go through things. I appreciate you being the real deal, and I thank you for being
Oh,
our guest today.
thanks for having me. This has been such a blessing. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Guys, you heard it from Jamie. You matter. You guys matter. And I want to remind you that God's not done with your story yet. Not by a long shot. He's got a plan. I know it's not easy sometimes, but he's faithful. He can't not be faithful. Where you and I, we're like a roller coaster sometimes. He's rock solid. The things that cause us sweat, anxiety, frustration doesn't cause his throne to move 1 centimeter to the left and right. He's right there, right where he can only be. Be encouraged today. Be encouraged by a Jamie story, but you've got your own, and the world needs to hear it. I appreciate each one of you. Till the next time we connect, God bless.